What's good, everybody? Today we're going to talk about a quick question that popped up on Reddit on one of the threads I asked about the common drone questions, and it came in after the live stream from last week. And I just wanted to answer it real quick here. The guy said, or leader plus 3435 said, "Hello, I want to get a drone. Which type can I buy for stock footage and aerial shots?" Since that's, I wanted to address your question there, leader. And then also, a lot of us have that kind of question, even if it's not for stock footage. It's basically the same answer as I would give for most beginners in the drone field. And that would be, it really depends on your budget. But my number one, just to get straight to it, I don't have this personally, but I've heard based off the specs, and so many people that have this drone just can't stop talking about it. The Air 2S, the DJI Air 2S. Now, Autel and there's some other equivalent to the DJI, but I'm just going to talk about that because I know more about that. With stock footage and aerial shots, you want something that's clean and gives versatility to the people that you're giving the stock footage to. So let's say it's, I don't know, like Adobe stock that you put it on. One of the things that you want to make sure that you do is give a 4K, at least 4K footage, which the Air 2S can do. Now, before I go too much further, I'm going to talk about the Air 2S, just so you know the word on the street is there's a rumor that the Air 3 is coming out, and potentially next week it's being announced. So DJI has a little teaser. I don't remember what it is, but they show this little teaser with like two little windows or whatever. So we're expecting, based off of some other leaks that have popped out, which are usually pretty accurate, these things come about, that the Air 3 is coming out, going to be announced next week with potentially two lenses on it, two cameras. One that's like a telephoto. It's a 77 millimeter, which basically it's a telephoto lens, which should be like their 7 times what they usually label as 7 times optical zoom. And then the lens we're expecting, the sensor that is on the Air 2S currently, which is a 1-inch sensor, we're expecting that to be a little bit of an upgrade. So all that being said, the Air 3 might be a better bird for you in the long run. But I would push against that. I have been burned hard by DJI, and not just DJI, basically any company that releases a product nowadays with firmware updates being just like they can update software and bug fixes. I mean, anybody who plays video games understands this. Whatever product is launched at launch you're kind of like an early adopter, and it basically means you're kind of a beta tester. So I wouldn't put my money into the Air 3 for at least a year, because there's going to be, what they always do is they'll launch even their enterprise level stuff, that you would think has like all the features baked in that it should. There's still some things like from the Mavic 3 Enterprise that Rich Charpentier from AZ Drone has shown. There's some limitations there that you would think are super basic. So all that being said, you usually at launch, they end up not having, you might not have like 4K unlocked, or maybe you only have 4K at 30 frames a second. You don't have the 24 that a lot of YouTubers and creative folks want to use. That's not to say that you have to use 24. 30 is totally fine. That's what I use for all my clients. But there's going to be, with the Mavic 3, when the original Mavic 3 came out, there was no RAW capability. It was all JPEG. It might have been on the main sensor, but the 7 times optical zoom camera that it came with, it didn't come with RAW, and the JPEG that it had was just garbagey and muddy, and it was a scout camera essentially. They call it the explore mode, but it was, if you wanted to take photos with it, you couldn't use it for stock basically. So what I would say is go with a tried and true, something like the Air 2S. That comes with 30 minutes of flight time, best case scenario. So, you know, if you have higher winds, then or it's really cold outside, then the battery flight time is going to diminish. But another big reason why I always say don't go with the immediate thing that just came out is because now you can get like the Fly More combo. Always get the Fly More combo. It's always, at least as of this video, it's always a better deal. And you're going to need those extra props. You're going to need the extra batteries. Nobody wants to fly with one battery. You have 20 minutes usable battery off of a 30-minute flight time. You have about 20 minutes of usable battery, and then you can't fly anymore, and you got to wait for that to go up. So you need the extra you should have the extra batteries. And then it comes with all sorts of other stuff. So the extra little bag and whatnot. So I always recommend the Fly More. So if you don't know the Air 2, this is the mini line here. You can see this is the size of my phone, basically. This is the iPhone 13 Pro Max, so it's a little bit bigger, but it's actually less than the size of my phone. And it's about that big. I don't know, a couple inches. It's actually, yeah, I'll say a couple inches, because this has the whatever, the thing that secures everything. I can't think of it right now. So that's the Mini 2. This is the Mavic 3. So you can see the size difference there, right? It's pretty considerable difference. The Air 2 is in between. So this is the Mini series. This is the Mavic 3 series. And the Mini 2 is somewhere in between, which also matches the price point. So the Mini 3 Pro, which would be another great option for you. The Mini 3 is, I think, I just saw it before this video. I double checked the pricing because I was curious about it. The Mini 3 Pro, there's links in the description of this video. The Mini 3 Pro usually goes for about $1,000, and right now it's on sale. I think it was close to 800, 700 and change US dollars. And then the Air 2 goes for about 1,500. And so that's kind of, well, a little bit less than that. But right now you can get that with the Fly More combo from DJI. At, I think it was just over $1,000. So that's a hell of a deal. The big thing for stock footage, stock video, and stock photos is a bigger sensor is almost always better. You can get great stuff with the Mini. Even the Mini 2 I wouldn't discount this at all. I can use this for client work. There's no issues with this. But if you have the money, I would say that the Air 2 or the Air series is probably your best bet. The Air 2S, get the S, not the Air 2. The Air 2, there's nothing really wrong with it, but the Air 2S is a little bit more expensive, but it's a far superior drone. So the thing about stock photo and video is, again, like I said, the high quality. When I go to get stock video with 4K footage, not only is it really good high quality, I usually will deliver in 1080 to my clients, and that gives me the ability to reframe your shot. So maybe I want to focus a little bit more. Maybe architecture. You're doing like flying through a city or something. And I want to be able to, maybe you have everything here, right? But maybe there's a strip of street here that I don't want to show because the action that I want to showcase on the stock is down over here on the bottom right. Maybe it's like people walking around. So instead of having a 4K video, I can crop that in to just that. And it's still, depending on how much I zoom in, it's still 1080 quality. And that's really important. That's really important for me. So shooting in 4K, the 60 frames a second, which the Air 2S can do at 4K. It also comes with 5.4. I'm pretty sure it's 5.4. I think that's overkill. There's only a couple times where I've used it, and that's highly technical deliverables that I need to. So I'm trying to get as much quality out of that thing as possible. But for stock footage, you don't need that. There's a lot of people that if they're using stock footage, they might not be able to process 4K footage as it is, and they have to use proxies. So still deliver in 4K. So yeah, you have the raw capability. So let's talk about photo for a second. You have raw capability in these drones, but you have two minds. So in stock footage, there's been a lot of, or stock photos, there's been a lot of times where I want stuff in raw. I want stuff in video log format. So, which is not really raw, but it's a more neutral tone to the video. And with photos, I have a hard time finding raw photos, and there's nothing wrong with JPEGs. And if you're just looking to make a couple bucks using stock photo and video, then just use the JPEGs. That's fine. But for me, if I'm using the stock photos in a project, I want to be able to color correct them to whatever project I'm working on. And it's harder with JPEG because unless you put just like kind of a neutral, like you don't go overly stylistic with the edits that you do. If you just take it right out of the drone, then awesome. But a lot of times what I see on stock photos, or even videos, is that they'll throw some stylistic choice, like really amping up the contrast, or desaturating the blacks, or raising the blacks up a little bit so that it's got that desaturated look. And that it's not that it's useless to me, but oftentimes I'll have to do a lot of edits to that to get it to where I want. Like the shot might be perfect, but the grading that the person did isn't ideal. And pushing and pulling a JPEG, especially once it's been recompressed to upload. So if you did the edit and then put it up to a stock site, then it's being compressed a couple times. Once when you did it in JPEG, then you export it again, maybe from Lightroom or whatever, and so that's been compressed again. And then when you upload it to the stock site, they may compress it again. So once I get it, it can be a difficult prospect to do the editing. So anyway, that's kind of a side point, but that might help you. It actually might behoove you. So these drones can do RAW and JPEG at the same time. And so when you take a photo, it takes a RAW and a JPEG. It doesn't take any longer. I mean, unless you just click it too fast and you have the buffer can't keep up, but you're not doing rapid fire shots more than likely. So yeah, I think that the Air 2 series, Air 2S, maybe the Air 3, but if you are looking to get the Air 3, wait a while because you don't want to be burned. Otherwise, the Mini 3 Pro, the Mini 3 would also be good, but for the extra, I think normally it's like $200 or $300 for the Pro, and you get the controller with the screen on it, and an additional flight time and whatnot, and the sensors may or may not be important to you, so just look at those, because like the Air 2S has everything but lateral sensors, so side to side it can't see. It's not going to stop from you running into a tree, but you just have to pay attention to what you're doing. So I think that should answer your question. I don't want to go too long. I mean, I could talk about this stuff for days and days and days and days, but this is 15 minutes. So if you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, you have anything that you want to bring up, go ahead and put them in the comments section below. Until I see you next time, fly safe and be good to each other.